Todd's Odds with Todd Fuhrman, our sports betting analyst from Las Vegas, Nevada. Last week we had asked Todd about the Bills head coaching search, and Todd said he'd be happy with either Brian Daboll or Clint Kubiak, and that he wasn't that high on Joe Brady. Well, Todd, your dreams have been answered. They hired Joe Brady. Now, Buffalo tied for third best odds to win the Super Bowl next season. Is that too high for you based on your feelings about this Brady hire?
Apparently, the Pagula family did not want to put me on the consulting payroll to try and advise in this head coaching decision. And no, I am not enamored with the Buffalo Bills making this decision to promote Joe Brady from within any more than I would be, Jay, tying up my money for this long a period of time on the Bills at such a short number. I think consolidating power with Brandon Beane taking on more responsibility places all the blame for everything that's gone wrong over the last couple of seasons squarely on Sean McDermott's shoulders. And look, while McDermott didn't get the best out of his teams in some of the highest leverage spots, oftentimes it's hard to win games in the NFL in the postseason when your quarterback is playing with a broken foot, turns the ball over a couple of times as well. I think this Bills team is not doing the things it needs to bolster the roster and or point the fingers in the right general direction. So I will not be backing the Bills this far out at such a short price with our friends at FanDuel.
Now, last week you stuck with your pick of the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Of course, Todd, we know how that worked out. They lose to the Seahawks. Seahawks heading to the Super Bowl. They are 4.5-point favorites over the New England Patriots. 10 days out, Todd. We're about a week and a half out, approximately. Are you ready to make a pick for Super Bowl 60?
I'm not ready to make an official pick, Jay, but I am much closer to backing the New England Patriots as a 4.5-point underdog in this spot than I would be laying the points with the Seattle Seahawks. There are so many things to uncover in this game as you dig in over the course of 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. And the reality of it is I have some questions about this Seattle Seahawks schedule they played down the stretch. And while I know they've exceeded odds makers' expectations more often than not, this is going to be a major step up in class against the New England Patriots defense that was extremely dynamic and well put together for their run through the AFC postseason picture. New England, if they're going to be successful in this game, has to be a little bit more dynamic offensively, given the fact that this is a team that has scored the fewest points in 3 consecutive playoff wins going all the way back to the late 1960s. But if Drake May is truly one of the MVP candidates when the awards get announced next week leading up to the big game, he's got to have to put this team on his shoulder and do a little bit more than scoring 17 points if they're going to get this thing across the finish line and bring another Lombardi trophy back to Foxborough.
And well, like I said, Todd, we're about 10 days away from the Super Bowl. Is there another bet around Super Bowl 60 that you feel comfortable locking in right now?
There is, and it's not betting the national anthem. It has nothing to do with the set list for Bad Bunny at halftime. I'm going to go to the Seattle Seahawks backfield, but I'm not going to focus on Kenneth Walker and his over-under for rushing or receiving. Maybe we'll get to that next week. But I'm going to look at his running mate in George Halani, who I think is going to get more touches than people think. And the market I want to attack is his reception number that sits at 1.5. You do have to lay a little bit of a short price with our friends at FanDuel. But if you look at Halani's usage, this is a guy who's going to be out there, in my opinion, in third down scenarios, knowing he's a little bit better as a pass blocker than Kenneth Walker. He was utilized in the 2-minute drill in the NFC Championship game against the Rams. And I think it's very possible that he catches 2 balls or more in the Super Bowl. I'll take George Halani over 1.5 receptions. And for those folks scoring at home who are looking to try and go back and watch some of his college footage, George Halani honed his craft on the Smurf turf up there at Boise State.
Now, the big NBA news Wednesday, of course, was that Giannis has said he would like to be traded. FanDuel has odds on where Giannis will end up after next Thursday's trade deadline. The favorite, actually, Todd, is for him to just stick with the Bucks. Where do you think that Giannis will be playing by next Friday?
And I think the Bucks are the rightful favorite here, Jay, because it doesn't say where Giannis will play his next game. I think his time with the Milwaukee Bucks is probably over, but that may mean we don't see Giannis again for the duration of the 2025 season. And when you look at some of the salary cap restrictions that are out there, the draft capital that'll most likely be a big part of this potential package, I think there's a scenario where the Bucks are going to hold Giannis on their roster until the summer and then can get a king's ransom from one of the teams that might be a potential suitor. If they look to make a deal sooner to allow Giannis to pursue, playoff aspirations and maybe an NBA championship, I think the Golden State Warriors make a world of sense if the Warriors want to go all in and give Steph Curry the last chance he may have to try and immortalize himself with another Larry O'Brien trophy on his resume. But I do think the Bucks are the rightful favorites. And if I was betting into this market, that's the side that I would be looking at FanDuel.
Todd, before I let you go, who is the inspiration for your cool new haircut, and why was it Eric Estrada, the star of Chips?
I mean, Jay, you were actually my inspiration. I mean, the conversation we had leading up to this segment tells me that I may need to make sure that I can focus on my follicles and get the best out of my hair while it's still very much on my head. I wanted to style and profile to mix it up a little bit. The bye week is the perfect time for experimentation, and I don't want to let the lovely viewers that tune into Todd's Odds every single week down as we head towards the big game and the culmination of the National Football League season.
You look great. We're going to get you a Supercut sponsorship. This is Todd Fuhrman, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Todd's Odds.